So this is where we have Future Ant-Man, Ghost, and Kingpin bands. Starting with Boss Island, Photon Boss. It's unduped, so you can use Valkyrie. You can also go Crossbones. You can also use S99 and remove decks. Mangog, S99 or Quicksilver. Sasquatch, S99 or Quicksilver. Bishop, you can go with Omega Sentinel or even Colossus. Korg, you can actually go with just Omega Red. Could probably use Omega Sentinel as well and just eat the chip damage. Kingpin, Omega Sentinel, probably Colossus. Kindred, you've got, I think Iceman can pull it off. Bit risky, but Rolk can do it pretty well. Cassie's also one that can do it. And then Atom, Mojo works pretty well with just degenning him down. There might be an argument to use someone like Clairvoyant. 1 through 3 on the way out. Hulkling, you can actually probably use Hulkling there or Gallon. Yeah, can probably also use, I was going to say Claire, that's not an option. Rintraw, Rintraw or Tigra. Path 1, you could squeeze Herc there for the whole thing, or you can go Nebula for LDS, and maybe risk a Namor for Killmonger. Path 2, Rintraw, S99 or Titania, Sauron, Omega Sentinel with Odin or Shuri. And then Path 3, you could try, I would go Nebula for Nimrod. You can also get away with Claire. And then for Infamous Doom, you can go Hulkling, or you can go with Doom. 4 through 6 on the way out, Havoc, Omega Sentinel, Colossus. Zemo on the way in, Omega Sentinel or Magneto, or even CW. Civil Warrior. Path 4, whole thing, spam, you can use Fury or Mole Man. Null, you can use Doom or Absorbing Man. Path 5, Nova, you can go with Herc, or you can go with Magneto or Doom. And then for Absorbing Man, you can go with Human Torch or Titania. Path 6, Apocalypse, really anyone. You can go Omega Sentinel or Cap Sam. And then for Quicksilver, Fury or Mole Man. 7 through 9 on the way out, Gore. You have Rintraw, you have Wiccan, you have Tigra. And then JJ on the way in, Valkyrie. Pretty easy there. Can probably get away with Jabari Panther as well. Path 7, Attuma, Iceman, Omega Sentinel are options. Toad, Omega Sentinel, could probably get away with Iceman as well. Path 8, Hyperion, Doom, Claire, Rintraw, Tigra, all of those. And then Domino, Omega Sentinel or Shuri. And then Path 9, Magneto, you can get away with Hulkling. Could also probably risk Absorbing Man. And then Shuri, you can also use Hulkling, or you can use Valkyrie for her there. 1 through 3 on the way in Section 2, Future Ant-Man. That one you can use Magneto. And I've actually seen Magneto House of X work as well. Maw, Cassie, Titania, Storm, pretty risky there. Penny, I've seen kind of work. Colossus looks insane there. It's just tough with Omega Sentinel and Shuri. It's tough Omega Sentinel not having the immunities, Shuri not having a true armor up. So definitely a challenging node there. 1 through 3 on the way out, Doom. You have Quicksilver, you have S99, you have Titania. Path 1, Magneto or Herc for Mysterio. And then for Hulk, you've got Shang-Chi or Valkyrie. Path 2, Dragon Man, Titania or S99. Danny, really anyone. But if you're going for a tech counter, you can use Shuri or you can use Omega Sentinel, and then path 3, either Gallon or Hulkling for Surfer. 4 through 6 on the way out, Kate, Omega Sentinel, Colossus, path 4, Elsa, Iceman, Colossus, path 5, Chavez, you've got Titania, and you've got Quicksilver or Human Torch. And then Fury, you can use Valkyrie, or you can test your luck with Omega Red, Apocalypse, Magneto, House of X, Havoc, and the such. Path 6, Kitty Pryde, Omega Sentinel will work. So could possibly, or Colossus as well. And then 7 through 9 on the way out, Wong, you have Cassie, or you have Rolk. And then path 7, Mantis, you can get away with Iceman there. Maybe Namor, you would just spam special ones quite often. And then Scorp, you can go with Magneto, or you can go with a poison immune, so Warlock and the such. Path 8 was completely empty, and then path 9, Spot, you can go with Jabari Panther or Shang-Chi, and then Weapon X, you can go with Omega Sentinel or Iceman. So that does it for defense. Let's take a look at attack. All right, so War 10 is here against one of the Shell Alliance's ISOa. Today I'm taking in Omega Sentinel, JP, Jabari Panther, and Iceman. I've got Path 9 in Section 1, Path 7 in Section 2, and 2 mini-bosses on Boss Island. So Path 9 here had a little bit of a should we take this with Iceman, should we not spot fight. About 80% of the time, I'm not really worried about using Iceman for this, but it was the 20% that we're kind of worried about. And since I had a slot and didn't really need the pre-fights I originally had assigned, we brought in Jabari Panther. So here, benefit is that Jabari Panther will shrug the hazard shift, and on top of that, she just has a lot of nice damage and a miss counter eventually, but could keep Spot from going untouchable for the most part. So the plan here was just to kind of build Huntress charges. I'm noticing the shrug of Hazard Shift actually isn't giving me those charges, so I decided to go with Special 1. I see that I pushed him to 5 spots. I decide I want to get Special 1 out instead of having to deal with Special 2 and triggering it during the special at some point. He decides not to throw Special 1. The 1 tap into block pushes him to Special 2. And then here, he decides to throw it. And this first hit, I'm not used to dashing back on. I normally don't do that. It makes me late for that trigger there, and then I end up just getting exploded. So middle of the specials where I'm used to triggering untouchable, and there, because I end up dexing the first hit or second hit, it puts me late for where I should trigger. And of course, after that, everyone tells me about the triggering before or at the beginning of the special and after the special. So with that knowledge and practicing that instead of my usual, we get ready for a second attempt where hopefully if Spot throws Special 2, we get the trigger right. But we get a favorable AI that decides to throw Special 1 every time he has it, and ends up making it a joke of a fight. So pretty annoying single error instant KO situation. Next up, Weapon X. Here we're taking with Iceman. We've done this a couple times. This actually might be the third. Maybe this was the second. Might be the third. Anyways, here it's just a build the Special 2, drop the Special 2, rinse and repeat. Play around his Berserk, bait out heavies while he's Berserk for openings. Maybe even let his Berserk fall if it gets out of hand. But yeah, this is a pretty simple fight. The detonation, if we have enough Frostbite during the Special 2, is actually just pretty amazing for KOing him quickly. So here's with just 2. He is going to regen the hit damage, but he's not going to regen the Frostbite detonation. So that's kind of where you get your ground per se against his regen. Typically it takes about 2 Special 2s But here, we didn't get enough of those frostbites during our first special 2. So this next special 2, again, only 2 there. So it's going to end up taking, I think, 3 of the special 2s, which makes it just a little bit longer. Nothing too crazy. I actually, next war, get to experience this fight with suicides, and that was a pretty fun show. Here we are working up to our 3rd special 2. We've got still only have 2 frostbites here. Now we have none. Bait out that special attack, see if we can get any frostbites. We get 1, we get 2, KO from a crit hit instead of the frostbite detonation. So Iceman's still standing strong on that Weapon X. Move on, Path 7, first fight is Attuma. So here's where Iceman came in. This one we don't have to treat like we have Node 48, but I just decide to anyways. Honestly, pushing Attuma as close to special 3 and just never letting him throw a special attack while you spam special 1s and detonate him is a very solid strategy. And we don't actually have to worry about healing back up after this fight. So any of the chip damage we get from his thorns, we can just ignore. And you can see here, first special 1, first heavy, he's already at 33%. So he's just a nice little counter here. No hydration stacks, still got the concussions. We're not going to throw a stun. There's 6 frostbites. Here comes a heavy, here comes a counter. There goes Attuma. So Iceman kicking it. Next up, Toad. You're going to take this with Omega Sentinel. With this node, I decide that what we're going to do is keep the protection up till special 2. We're going to use the special 2 as the knockdown to remove the protection, and then Toad is just going to go ahead and melt away from plasma. Decided to let my dog finish drinking before continuing the voiceover. So if you're curious what that sound was, that's what it was. So heal block pre-fight. We're going to keep a heal block up pretty much the entire fight. If we're in a good position to have 3 of those up during the special 2, perfect. If not, not the end of the world. And we're just doing this. This is all it is. We don't have to worry about getting that passive stun because we're not going to reach the buildup that requires that. So here he goes melting away. 5 plasmas. We're now in pause mode. I'm not worried about putting on any more heal block debuffs until we get to maybe special 2. And then that way I can drop one just like that. We are ready to go. Protection's back up. Throw special 2 after a pause. So we're at 5 plasmas, 3 debuffs. We're at 10 now plasmas. He's got no protection. He's just melting away from plasma. One more pause here. Combo finishes it. So super easy. Last 2 fights are mini boss fights. We have slapped on full recoils for this, mainly because we're not throwing any special attacks for either fight. Kingpin, I have not had to take on 48 with Omega Sentinel this season, but I did last season. It is a very simple fight since Omega Sentinel will hold on to 10 armor ups for the entirety of the fight. We have the max kind of power burn from the attack tactic armor burn. And that gives us a larger window of hits per special 1 bait. So if we had just 1 armor up, we'd have some control of Kingpin's power, but he'd still gain a significant amount. And with power reserve, he'd pretty much hover at special 1, I think, with only throwing 2 hits. So every special 1 he throws, he'd be 1 or 2 hits away from getting another special 1, and then just repeat for a champion that only has 1 natural armor up. But since we have the max that are affected by armor burn 5 throughout the entire fight with Omega Sentinel, then we have a little more room per hit before we get to special 2, and therefore we can keep ourselves from getting cornered. Now we have a White Magneto pre-fight here, but Kingpin's pretty much going to hold on to special 1 the entire fight, so we never actually have to stun. The only thing we have to look out for, and I think it's going to happen soon, and he did throw a random heavy at the start, so I had to go ahead and heavy counter, is this here, the overpower buff. We're paying attention to it. It's a very slow buff, or sorry, it's a very long buff as far as duration goes. So we're not too panicked right now about missing an action and landing it. But the nice thing about having this White Magneto pre-fight, there it is, the timer, immediately parry heavy, and we don't worry about it. So we are free of missing an action as long as Kingpin doesn't throw a random heavy. And we're just back to these special ones out. Throw combo, next special one out. We can dance if we need to. Always a reminder, you can hit into block to give yourself some space on the field, but also prevent Kingpin from gaining power. He tried a little tricky step back, throw special one for an intercept, but we were ready, saw it coming, got our block up in time, luckily. But yeah, this is a fight, pretty simple. Future Ant-Man usually would be our go-to here, but of course with the bans, it's a lot harder. You've got more power control with Future Ant-Man, and you have special attacks you can throw because you don't have to worry about placing debuffs. But Omega Sentinel, of course, places debuffs with every special attack. So Future Ant-Man, you'd have just the special 2. Down goes Kingpin. So pretty solid there. And then the last fight, which I was kind of worried about because we've been sending Warlock to this Bishop, and the block damage is absolutely insane. Almost to the point where, like, if a special 2 came out, he'd actually probably die. So, and you're hoping willpower is on the node, so hopefully you're able to check on the field. But I recall taking a rank 5 Bishop with Omega Sentinel last season in a war that didn't count, and the block damage was, like, insignificant. And I know here with the first few hits into Omega Sentinel's block with the prowess puncture that I'm not taking that much block damage at all. So at this point, I'm not concerned about the fight. I'm just ending combos short, going straight to block so that I bait a heavy out from Bishop and he doesn't throw this special attack, especially special 1, because I'll have to deal with Incinerate and waiting for that to end. But once we're at special 2 here, I feel pretty confident that I can play this game of how close can we get him to special 3? And then if we get him close enough to special 3 and we need to bait special 2, the block damage is going to be minimal and we won't have to worry about it at all. But also what I'm noticing here is that above the 2 bars of power, it's actually pretty easy to keep him between special 2 and special 3. And I think I might KO him just with basic attacks before he ever reaches special 3. So this is it. Just block, bait heavy, do 4-hit combo, end that combo with a block, and then bait that next heavy, and just keep him in the corner here and KO him with basic attacks. So that's where the benefit of the full recoil comes in. And I mean full bleed, full poison. So we ended up beating their BG 3-4. So pretty good comparable war to us. And then we ended up winning this 7-13. So it was really close there with the 7-7. And then they gave us 9-7. And then we finished the map with 7. And that meant game over. So pretty good back-to-back win for us. We were really happy about that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe, give it a like, and I will catch you guys in the next video that will actually just drop tomorrow.